Hello folks, today is a special day because I'll finally unbox the gyro that I got from a recent auction, which is a true Apollo gyro. But before that, one of the reasons we went to Gyro is because of Ed. Hello Ed.
I'm guilty as charged.
I'm going to blame this entire video on you. Because you're the one that brought the first gyro, and then we got crazy into gyros, and you bought some of your collection here. This is the one I made the spin-up video about. And this is a rate gyro. It's spring-loaded to return the middle, and it measures the rate of rotation around this axis and will tilt up or down. So the tilt is proportional to the rate of the table turning. Actually, there were 3 of those as backup gyros in Apollo, the B-Mag body mounted attitude gyros. Then for good measure, we couldn't, Ed couldn't help but buy more gyros, so he has these ones are simpler. Those are direction gyros basically.
Yes.
And this one is air driven. You can see it has a little turbine in it. Don't know if I can. This one's really crusty. We tried to uncrustify it and we were that successful. Then basically it stays in position and moves.
Yeah, the airplane moves around it.
Right. Yeah. If we could make it work, but it's too crusty, we won't be able to.
Yeah.
And you have another much better one over there.
And this is an electrically driven one. This other one is driven by carburetor suction. This is driven by 400 cycle, 110 volts. And it's quite a little cutie pie. You can see some of the inner workings in here.
And this one we should try to make it work because it's really free.
Yeah.
So there's the gyro in the middle, and then it has a gimbal, so it's gimbal twice, this way and that way. And if I give it a spin,
you give it a spin, you can see the airplane turning violently, as it were.
So the idea, of course, is that the gyro maintains the platform straight, and the indicator turns around it. And this is a helicopter gyro. It's vertically mounted, so it gives you attitude. It's more concerned to know if you're flying the right way up. And so we struggled a bit with that one because it's all locked, but we figured out how to unlock it. So it needs little pixies in it to unlock. We just figured that an hour ago. Put pixies, and now that we have the pixies in, and this one is a 360. It's really cute. Then the other one works, but only 90 degrees, so you're not supposed to go upside down on your helicopter, I guess. And I really like the way it cages, because you have to start them up in caged way, in a fixed orientation. And then you have to align them, and it has a little mercury capsule to align them on the local vertical. So all these gyros have to be aligned before you start doing anything with them. I really like that. Yoo-hoo. All right, but let's do the real one now. All right, so Apollo gyro, the one that were in the inertial platform. I have documents. Oh, there it is. That's all there is to it. It's a small guy. Alright, so before we open it up, so that you have an idea of where it is, it's in the IMU, and there are 3 of them. 1 mounted this way and 2 mounted this way, and they do XYZ, and there's a string gimbal arrangement. This is the Inertial Measurement Unit, or IMU, that flew in Apollo 17. This is really the central sensor for the guidance computer and the whole ship. It tells you very precisely which position you are in, so you can burn your engine the right direction and keep the attitude during the burn. At the center of this bowl is a platform with 6 sensors. 3 IRIG gyros, like the one we'll unbox in a minute, sensing 3 rotation axes orthogonal to each other. They are the larger cylinders in this picture. It also has 3 accelerometers to measure acceleration along the gyro axis, shown as the smaller cylinders marked PIP. The platform is held within 3 gimbals, which allows it to rotate freely in any direction, assuming you always avoid passing through the famous gimbal lock position. Here is a good view of what I think is an early prototype IMU with Block 1 IRIG gyros. You can recognize the top of 2 gyros in white and see the gimbal joints, 2 pairs in green and the 3rd pair attached to the outside of the ball. Here's another one, also Block 1 I believe, where you can identify the top of the accelerometers by their black square boxes. And finally, here's a Block 2 photographed by Ken at the Boeing Museum in Seattle, where you can clearly see an IRIG 2 gyro mounted transversely. The gimbals themselves are very complicated affairs, part slip ring, part sensor, part motor. Here the technicians will first demonstrate how the gimbal motors are used to bring the platform to course alignment. That would be the first step in aligning the gyro platform. But after they are done playing with that, they will flip the magic switch that closes the servo loop. Right now. And now, each gimbal motor is controlled by its corresponding gyro error signal. This will actively maintain the platform in its pre-aligned position at all times. You can spin it all you want, the inertial platform is completely stable. And the gyro itself is a freaking, oh, we don't have the other cutout, but it's super complicated. It has a sphere with it spins in helium, then it's floated in a special liquid that has the exact same density as the sphere that has the helium in it and is adjusted. It's temperature controlled to point something degrees. It has a magnetic suspension, so it touches nothing mechanical when it's working. It's floating and it's magnetically held. And it has a position sensor and a torque on either end. So let's see what it is. Da-da-da-dum. And here we go. Apollo IRIG. It looks like a 2, but I'm not too sure about the differences between 1 and 2. So, what do we have? It's not that heavy. So input axis, as the direction it spins this way, so it spins around that axis. Output axis is this way, so it will
twist against the signal.
It will
generator.
twist. It's a gimbal this way, and SRA is a sensing axis. So it's this one is when you put it that way, it measures the. I think it's
yaw at this time.
right. So it's like this one. Mm-hmm. All right. If I put it, and it's spinning this way. That's what this thing is. It senses travel around or rotation around this way by outputting, by tilting this way. So that's how it is inside. And it is a wonder of mechanical engineering, mostly hidden inside. You can see the main elements here with the hermetic beryllium sphere.
The beryllium sphere, of course.
Containing the spinning wheel in the middle, and the very complicated magnetic suspension, magnetic sensing, and magnetic torquing assembly holding the gimbal sphere. There is one on display at the National Air and Space Museum that's been cut away, showing the gyro wheel, the beryllium sphere, and a cut through the whole assembly. And I think we had a little, it tells you all the connections here, so to the various, there's so much magnetics in it, because there's the magnetics of the suspension, the magnetics of the wheel, and they actually come out this way. Magnetic of suspension, magnetics of the wheels, magnetic of the torque, and magnetic of the sense, right? which are multi-winding things. And here is the preamp. So they have the preamp for the air, for the sensor, the resolver. I'm not sure what that is actually. It's for test, and I'll have to look at the documentation. And here, obviously, is where you connect it, and that must be the capacitor. So there's some RC stuff for the magnetic suspension, which is actually a precisely detuned resonant circuit. And there is another cap that's probably for the motor. So it's driven by 2 phases at 800 hertz, 28 volts, and that's for the wheel, and 1 phase of 3200 hertz, a few volts, 2 or 3 volts, for the suspension and the torque generator and the resolver. We have documents, so I had no idea. I was getting some documents. Let's try not to cut them. Well, I paid a lot.
It might be more.
Because the
Oh no, that's just the auction.
just how much I paid and the auction advertisement, that auction certificate. I actually did buy it. All right, fine. And here you see a good picture. See if I can do some coloring. So that's the gyro wheel. And the wheel spins in a beryllium sphere.
Computer, is there a replacement beryllium sphere on board?
Computer, is there a replacement beryllium sphere on board?
Negative. No reserve beryllium sphere exists on board.
No, we have no extra beryllium sphere on board.
You know, that is really getting annoying.
Look, I have one job on this lousy ship. It's stupid, but I'm gonna do it, okay?
Sure, no problem.
Which is here. And is enclosed in helium to minimize wind-up losses. And then there is a very small gap that's filled with liquid right here, where the sphere floats. And the liquid, at the very exact temperature that you have to run the thing at, the sphere will float exactly in that liquid. It's the same, I don't know how you call it. Buoyancy, specific weight, whatever. So that sphere is supposed to weigh nothing in its liquid, and liquid does damping. That's why there is so little of it. And then you have the magnetic suspensions here. One here, one there. And actually, and you have also a little pivot running out of. So there's a little sapphire over here. But in normal operation, the sphere never touches the pivot. They're just for extreme condition or shock. So the sphere should be totally floated on its magnetic bearings. And then on one side, you have the resolver called signal generator. And those are those 2 windings. On the other end, it's the torque generator. And the torque generator is used to align the platform very, very, very precisely. And that's everything that's in here. Whoop. And fits in that little package. So the idea is hopefully will not only make it spin, but I also have the electronics that goes on this thing. Part of the point of buying this is that I could hook it up to the original electronics, so I have the 2 modules that take the signal from the IRIG and then control the gimbals. The gimbals I don't have, I'll have to remake them. But you have the coarse line amplifier and then the gimbal servo amplifier. So with that we should be able to make a one-axis gyro that should be stable enough and have low drift enough that we should watch the Earth move around it. And I even have the tray, the PSA tray on which those modules go, and we got all the schematics from the module, so we know how they work. So the idea that with all this and a lot more, because we will need the power supplies and to make the gimbal, a one-axis gimbal, that we can reproduce the servoed IMU, one axis of the IMU with the original electronics for the Apollo, and see how low it drifts. Where I'm at it, I might as well unbox my gimbal servo amplifier. So that's a block 1, I think, but I don't think they changed it very much during between block 1 and block 2, so it should still work. So this was obviously a spare. We know from the number that this one was a spare for the I forgot the number, but the second time it's one of the AS missions. The second time they flew a Saturn V, and the first time they had it with guidance in it.
It's AS502.
AS502, you know everything. I don't think the package was. Fully hermetic. It's not too bad. A little bit of sea salts from Florida. So it's spotted. So and if it's the same quality, you know, we think it is, as the AGC, and everything should work fine. This is of course flyable hardware. So that was it, the unboxing of the IRIG 2, the Apollo gyroscope for the inertial platform, the one that was used to guide people to the moon. We can even try to fit them in the tray. So there was one for each axis, there were 3 of them, so there were 3 of the amplifiers, the gimbal amplifiers, one for each gimbal, so 1, 2, 3. Here are the power supply modules, which I don't have. And there were 3 of the coarse alignment module in the block 1. Those are not used in the block 2. They were replaced by the ECDU. So 1, 2, 3. So here, we're almost done. We just hook those 3 things up, and here we go. Piece of cake.